Welcome back to the Lean and Hungry Look as we count down Shakespeare's top 20 most underrated characters. Today's episode, we start in on the top 10 with characters 10 through 6.
It's like Kirk and Spock, only they're both Danish. Possibly both
If Jews
Danish.
run Hollywood, why can't we get a Jew to play the freaking Jewish
Is
character?
he rescuing these people with his penis?
Let's jump right on in. Character number 10 is one of those poor characters who ends up in charge at the end of the play, but no one really cares about him at all. Character number 10 is Malcolm from Macbeth. Basically, people would rather talk about pretty much anybody else in Macbeth as opposed to Malcolm. They want to talk about the witches, they want to talk about Macbeth and Lady Macbeth and Banquo and honestly anyone else. However, I think this is a mistake. Playing Malcolm as just the boring dude who's sort of there but not really, and what's the deal with whenever he, tries to be in this play? And I think that that's a mistake for one main reason. He is Shakespeare's best military leader. Oh yeah, suck it, Henry V. This guy is going in, his nation is divided, politically unstable, he knows he can't trust anyone. Yeah, Henry V is going in with his nation at his back and he knows that he's doing the best thing that he possibly can. Malcolm's gotta make do with what he has and get back that nation that's rightfully his. It's a little bit scarier. It's in fact so scary that he even feels the need to test Macduff in this awesome exchange.
Nay, had I power, I should pour the sweet milk of concord into hell, uproar the universal peace, confound all unity on earth.
Oh, Scotland, Scotland.
If such one be fit to govern, speak. I am as I have spoken.
Fit to govern? No, not to live. Oh, nation miserable, when shalt thou see thy wholesome days again? Since at the truest issue of thy throne, by his own interdiction, stands accursed and does blaspheme his breed. Thy royal father was a most sainted king!
Yeah, this guy is surprisingly hardcore. Let's destroy a man to make sure that he has some moral fiber left to destroy. You gotta love it. But of course, everyone would rather talk about why isn't Fleance king? Wasn't he supposed to, be king anyway? Look, I could tell you why the Fleance thing is bull, but I don't think I want to go on a rant about the nature of prophecy and the power of suggestion and free will in Shakespeare. Or do I? No, I don't. You're off the hook for today. But in short, Malcolm is surprisingly hardcore and leads a much, much rougher military expedition than pretty much anybody else in the entire canon. And, he makes people earls at the end, which, is kind of nice. Character number 10.
So thanks to all at once, to each one whom we invite to see us crowned at Stone.
Character number 9 is a character who foils a much, much more highly rated character and unfortunately a lot of the time ends up left in the dust. Character number 9 is Hotspur from Henry IV Part 1. Hotspur serves as the foil for Prince Hal. He leads the rebellion against Henry IV, and in the course of doing so proves that he's a hot-headed, hot-blooded guy. Look, hot is in his name. So, he can't be bad. And he proves himself to be this impulsive, powerful, choleric kind of man. He's not the most well thought out, but he does have something that he really believes in. And unfortunately, because there's a lot of stuff in the script about him being this impulsive guy, he's often played as a bit of a buffoon. Now, look, it's implied here that he's too young to know what he's doing. He's being led by the nose by these older men who really have the more political stake in the rebellion, and he's just the one who is being naive. Well, you know what? He helped put Henry IV on the throne. He might have been young, but he knows what he did, and he regrets it. And that's a powerful motivator. Yeah, he might not be the slow, plodding, methodical mind behind everything, but who cares? He's the one that we can really feel for. Yes, he goes a bit overboard, but he's the one with the real emotional stake in it, which is just so much more compelling. It's too easy to play him as a buffoon, but that's only if you don't care about his plotline at all. I mean, it's not like I'm just a little bit pissed about every single production I've ever seen of Henry IV that has played him that way. It's not like, you know, this is a bit of a denigration of the character that I have in my head.
Harry, the purpose you undertake is dangerous. The friends you have named uncertain, the time itself unsorted, and the whole plot too light. Say you so. I say unto you again, you are a shallow, cowardly hind, and you lie!
Besides, if you like Prince Hal at all, you've got to know that Hotspur's his foil, and on him doesn't really do much for Hal's coming-of-age story in this. Just saying. Also, Falstaff, Hal, everybody else who's overrated like crazy in this play, shut up about him. Seriously. Hotspur all the way. Team H. Technically, Hal would also be Team H. You know what? Character number 9.
I can no longer brook thy vanities. Esperance!
Character number 8 is yet another of those characters who end up in charge at the end of a tragedy, and you know what? Just because he lives doesn't mean he's unimportant. Character number 8 is Fortinbras from Hamlet. Yep, he's the Norwegian guy with the weird name that no one really knows what to do with, and he often ends up cut, because you know what? In 3 hours of theater, people don't want to give this man even so much as 30 frickin' seconds.
Go, Captain! From me greet the Danish king! Tell him to buy his license. Fortinbras craves the conveyance of a promised march over his kingdom. I'll do so, my lord. Go strictly up!
Greedy, don't you think? At any rate, Fortinbras bookends Hamlet. That's all there is to it. He shows up at the beginning, he shows up at the end, and he shows up at a point in the middle to give the boundary to the entire story. It is kind of important. He's a clear-headed man. He's been usurped, same as Hamlet, and he's eager to prove himself. He knows both war and policy, giving him all the best qualities of old Hamlet and Claudius in a frickin' 2-second cameo. He's got the smooth demeanor of Claudius, as shown in this line here.
With sorrow I embrace my fortune.
Which I think is a deliberate echo of this line earlier.
With one auspicious and one dropping eye, with mirth in funeral and with dirge in marriage, in equal scale weighing delight and dole, taken to wife.
Pretty cool. They both use antithesis, literary techniques. Anywho, he also has a warrior father who he's trying to prove that he can succeed. He's got a legacy to uphold, and he knows how to execute his plans. He's not the most important player in the play, and that's not what I'm arguing for, but he does end up in charge for a reason. We've got a new plan at the end of the play, we've got a new regime, it's going to come in, and Hamlet wouldn't vote for Fortinbras at the end if he didn't think Fortinbras could frickin' do the job.
I do prophesy the election lights on Fortinbras. He has my dying voice.
Hamlet is many things, but a bad judge of character and ability isn't one of them. If you want to shit on the character of Hamlet by dissing his final royal act, that's fine for you. I'm not going to. Character number 8.
Go. Bid the soldiers shoot.
Character number 7 suffers from being a really badass character in a really overlooked play. Character number 7 is John Gaunt from Richard II. Okay, I know I've got a bit of a bug up my ass about Richard II, that's not exactly a secret, but John Gaunt is kind of awesome, and I feel like people who know the play know that he's really awesome, but unfortunately, people who know the play is not exactly the most expansive group of people. John Gaunt, for those of you who don't know, is Richard II's uncle. He is also the oldest surviving son of the previous king, Edward III, at the start of the play. He's torn between his duty to his sovereign and the love that he has for his own son, Henry Bolingbroke, who's going to become Henry IV, spoilers, and he ages to his death over the course of the first 2 acts of Richard II. On his deathbed, he gives the most soaringly patriotic speech in the entire canon, because suck it, Henry V. That's becoming a theme of today's video. And he has a knockdown, drag-out battle of wits with Richard II that is pure, unadulterated word porn. That's what it is. Take a peek.
What comfort, man? How is't with aged Gaunt?
Oh, how that name befits my composition. Old Gaunt indeed, and gaunt in being old. Within me grief has kept a tedious fast, and who abstains from meat that is not gaunt. For sleeping England long time have I watched. Watching breeds leanness. Leanness is all gaunt. The pleasure that some fathers feed upon is my strict fast. I mean my children's looks. And therein fasting hast thou made me gaunt. Gaunt am I for the grave, gaunt as a grave, whose hollow womb inherits naught but bones.
Can sick men play so nicely with their knaves?
No, misery makes sport to mock itself. Since thou dost seek to kill my name in me, I mock my name, great king, to flatter thee.
Craziness! Anyway, John Gaunt is old, he knows more than you, he's only in 4 scenes, and yet his sheer power dominates the whole play. At the end of this play, 3 acts after we're done with John Gaunt, you're still gonna hear people talking about how cool that guy was, and oh my god, that guy with the speech, that was so cool. Why didn't I know anything about that going into this? Because he's one of the underrated characters. Oh, by the way, wanna know who's set to play John Gaunt in the upcoming BBC production of Richard II? That's right. Get ready. Character number 7.
This blessed plot, this earth, this realm, this England.
Character number 6 is a character who suffers from being, yet again, a badass character in an out-and-out terrible play. Diana, from All's Well That Ends Well. I knew the basic plot of All's Well That Ends Well for a while before I actually sat down to read it, and I didn't even know who Diana really was, except a placeholder in the plot, and I think it's pretty tempting to think of her this way. After all, a refresher on All's Well That Ends Well, Helena is the wife of Bertram, but Bertram doesn't really like Helena, so he goes off to Italy, where he starts hitting on Diana. He has challenged his wife Helena to become pregnant with his child, but refuses to touch her. However, it's pretty clear that he wants to do more than just touch Diana, so Helena decides to take Diana's place and, well, rise to the challenge of Bertram's ridiculousness in Act 1. At any rate, Diana just sort of seems like the necessary linchpin around which the entire plot can rotate, but not so. Shakespeare puts in some amazing scenes with Bertram and Diana where she deflects him. She's more than just your simple virgin who doesn't want to have sex with the married man. Oh no, she's a lot smarter than Bertram, which seems to be a theme in All's Well That Ends Well. But she runs rings around him in some of the purest fun you'll have in any comedy that isn't like Twelfth Night or Much Ado About Nothing. In fact, the only other Battle of the Sexes scenes that outdo these, in my opinion, are the Beatrice Benedict scenes, and while the All's Well scenes aren't as personal as those, the lighter tone makes them pretty frickin' hilarious. Diana knows what she's doing. And she's awesome, and it's a pity that she's so buried in the plot of this miserable, miserable play. Character number 6.
You're cold and stern. No, you should be as your mother was, when your sweet self was gone.
She then was honest.
So should you be.
No. My mother did but duty. Such, my lord, as you owe to your wife.
And with that, we round out part 3 of Shakespeare's 20 most underrated characters. Join me again soon as we count down the top 5. See who's gonna make the list. Farewell. John Gaunt, some background for those of you who don't know, is Richard II's uncle. He's also the oldest, rather. Let me start that over.